Philip II of Spain to send 10,000 crack troops into Holland in an attempt to destroy the Reformation in Holland. But after an 80-year civil war in 1648, we finally have the birth of the modern era, and Holland's a free nation.
Right.
So, but we don't have that in the Orient. We don't have that in any Catholic nations. Catholic nations have not been able to set up truly free republican forms of government where the government has a limited power.
Well, we tried that originally.
We did it. We succeeded.
We succeeded, but we lost it.
We lost it in the war between the states.
Right.
When the Jesuits brought many, many, many Irish Roman Catholics over here, settled them primarily in the northern cities, and then fomented the war, which the North was predominantly a Roman Catholic bloc, because there were 200,000 Irishmen that died on the side of the North, according to Dabney in his defense of Virginia in the South. And so it was primarily the Protestant South that they fought, and the states being Georgia, North and South Carolina, and Virginia. Those were the Protestant states of the South, and those were the states that Sherman and Grant totally destroyed. They didn't destroy primarily Catholic New Orleans or Catholic Florida. They destroyed the primarily Protestant southern states.
Right. So, in a nutshell, basically what you're saying is the Civil War was in fact about slavery. It was about making everybody slaves.
That's right, and that's exactly what Horace Greeley said, and I quote it in my book. Horace Greeley said, "We've made both the whites and the blacks the slaves of our government in Washington."
Right.
And that's exactly what we have today.
But yet you go to the textbooks in third grade and it says, Civil War, good old Abe Lincoln freed the slaves. That's what it was all about.
Yeah, and that's utterly ridiculous. Lincoln told the South, you can have your slavery, just don't secede. And the Southern men said, you have afflicted us for so many years that we now are going to secede. And Alexander Stephens, who was a vice president of the Southern Confederacy, said in his great work, Constitutional View of the War Between the States, he said that every state had the right to secede, and he named 3 states that reserved the right to secede in their ratification papers. And there were 2 northern states and 1 southern state. The 2 northern states were New York and Rhode Island, and the southern state was Virginia. Those states reserved the right to secede, and if those 3 states had the right, then all the others had the right.
Well, I would think so.
Because this is a union of consent.
Well, the Constitution, the way it was originally written, and the intent of it, to me, is very clear, and to many scholars, that a state could, in fact, secede.
Well, if you voluntarily enter into a union, well, then you can voluntarily exit that union if you're being abused and if the contract is breached.
Right.
And the North breached the contract many times.
Yeah, and now they come along, and many of the states from Honest Abe on that came into the Union came in on a different footing. Came in, every single one of them is a little different. Nevada is a prime example, and it's going on right now. Nevada, 13% of Nevada was admitted as a state. 87% of Nevada was admitted as a territory. It was kept. They kept 87%. And to this day now, they put it in writing. This is our territory. And so this is what's going on. Every state, New Mexico has something different. Idaho's a little bit ticked, and California's asleep. I don't know what they're doing. But this is what they're finding out. They did this to the states.
We have to keep these things clear in our head. From 1789 to 1868, we had a Protestant Calvinistic republic where the Constitution was a grant of limited express powers, and there were no implied powers in that document, including the establishment of a national bank, contrary to that particular case. I think it was Marbury versus Madison. In any event, after 1868 to the present, we are now in a Jesuit empire. All the states are provinces. We don't have sovereign states. They're simply provinces of the great central city, Washington, D.C., because that is a Roman form of government. Just like the Roman government of old, Rome was the center city, and all the different countries were provinces of the Roman Empire.
Right.
They've made this empire exactly the same way.
Exactly.
And then they used this empire to restore the temporal power of the Pope around the world with our wars from 1900 to the present.
But it is not the Catholic people.
Oh, no.
That's what most people will take offense of. They say, well, I'm a Catholic, I don't do that. Well, it isn't the Catholic people. It's like, and I had this argument not too long ago. somebody came up and said, I said I didn't care for the platform of a particular political party. I won't mention their name, just their color was green. But I said I didn't really like this platform. But yet the people, and I've met thousands of them, many of them, they're fantastic. They're wonderful people. They're all heart. They care. I mean, from their heart. They care like you wouldn't believe. But the platform says something different. And so, for people to judge or for everybody else to judge the people by the platform, I don't like. The Jesuits are predominantly Catholic, so I don't like Catholics, is absurd. It's like saying, I don't like you because you're a white guy. I've got a tan now. You're a white guy, you know?
I do need a tan.
Well, you do need a tan. Yeah, that's true. But the fact is, the media-driven frenzy is splitting everybody and saying because you say you're a Catholic. I mean, I was born and raised in the Mormon Church. It's not that I don't have any use for them now. It's that I don't follow that reasoning. I have found something that I like better, but I don't dislike Mormons.
We need to set up this dichotomy. The Roman Catholic people are a group, the hierarchy is another group, and the Jesuit order is above it all. Okay?
Right.
I have not a beef with Catholic people. As Cromwell said, I quarrel with no man's conscience. If that's the way they wish to believe, we have a First Amendment here, and they have the right to believe how they wish to believe. I have a quarrel with a group of men who have conspired to take our government from us, to subject us to a foreign monarch, and that's exactly what the Pope is. I call the Pope the Papal Caesar. He's a foreign monarch in the law. The Pope cannot be sued. He is a sovereign. He governs from a palace. He lives in a sovereign nation called the Sovereign State of Vatican City. He has ambassadors to every country of the world. They have their own money. He has his own bodyguard. It is a nation, okay? So I have a problem with a foreign king governing my country. And because I'm a patriot, I believe that America should be governed by Americans, Japan should be governed by Japanese, Germany should be governed by Germans.
Right.
We believe in nationalism. We believe that a people should govern themselves, not a foreign monarch. And this is what the Jesuits have sought to establish. And they will kill their own Roman Catholic people to do so. And the example to this is John F. Kennedy. He was the first Roman Catholic president we had because he disobeyed the Pope. He sought to end Cardinal Spellman's Vietnam War, and he sought to end the reign of the CIA, which is nothing more than an extension of Hitler's SS. They killed him for it.
Well, he also printed...
and he went against the Federal Reserve Bank.
Went against the Federal Reserve Bank,
That's right.
the central bank. I mean, that's...
And he also was against the voucher system, which Mr. good old George Bush is ready to okay.
Right.
Kennedy was dead set against the voucher system, which Cardinal Spellman wanted.
What about Honest Abe? I know that he started printing the greenback to pay the war debt.
Abraham Lincoln defended Charles Chiniquy, who was a priest who was being framed by the Jesuits. You can read about it in 50 Years in the Church of Rome. Abraham Lincoln was his defender, and he wrestled Charles Chiniquy away from the grasp of the Jesuits in destroying Chiniquy. And Chiniquy told Lincoln that when I looked in the audience, I saw the sentence of death on no less than 11 Jesuit faces in the audience. And from then on, Charles Chiniquy, Father Chiniquy, used to go and warn President Lincoln every year of his impending assassination by the Jesuits. So my point with Lincoln is that Lincoln did some things that were very wrong. He instituted martial law. He overthrew the government of Maryland for the most part. He would not let Maryland secede when Maryland wanted to secede. He did some things that were very wrong and very absolutist. But after the Battle of Gettysburg, I am told that he had a change of heart and he truly repented of his sins and believed on Christ, and then he sought to set things right. And one of the things he sought to do was his refusal to centralize the United States into an empire because he refused to ratify or promote the 14th Amendment, just as President Johnson refused to promote the 14th Amendment after Lincoln was assassinated.
Yeah. Well, when did the 14th Amendment come
1868.
in? 1868.
July 28,
Under whose watch?
President Johnson. July 1868, July 28th, 1868 was the day